by Elijah, the co-host. We are going to have a press conference with President Trump Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, and we're looking for some positive news regarding the shutdown. And hopefully tonight they're going to cast their votes to reopen the government. But I don't know. We've been listening to the Democrats, and they're upset with the 8 Democrats that have jumped ship or have caved to the Republicans. So I don't know what's going to happen tonight, but don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe, and think about becoming a member. And leave us a comment. Like, we have thousands of people in our chat, but we can't read all the comments, but we do go back and we look at the comments and we do respond to all of them because we want our subscribers and our viewers to be able to interact with us so that it'll be more personal, and tell us what's on your mind and how you feel about the government shutdown. Has it affected your life? Has it affected your family? What about like, do you know any federal workers that you had to support? Any vets that you had to show support, or maybe buy them a meal, or just be there to encourage them for whatever they're going through right now, because it's been difficult for families, because sometimes when you can't give, you can give of yourself by just being there to encourage someone. So right now we're just waiting for her to come on, so we expect her shortly, and I am quite sure she's going to be talking about that, and she might bring up about this $2,000 stimulus check that President Trump has been talking about to give to, I believe, middle-class Americans and poor Americans, that he wants to send out, I think, the beginning of next year, a $2,000 check. So if that's true, I am looking forward to it because I could use $2,000. So that would be something positive coming into the new year. But even if we do open back up the government, we have to keep in mind this is only going to be for maybe a little over 2 months, because they're going to have to address this again at the end of January. January the 30th, we might find ourselves back into another government shutdown. Now, in 2 weeks, they are going to vote on the health care. And premiums, they said, are already going up. They're already skyrocketing. I was listening to a lady earlier today, and she said her premium was like $272. Now it's like $1,200 a month. So that's considerably a lot. So even though if the government reopens, I don't know how soon that everything will go back to some normalcy prior to Thanksgiving, because flights are still being canceled. People still aren't coming to work, mainly probably because they don't even have the money to get to work, because you need gas and you need car fare to get to work, and then they need lunch money. So hopefully they're going to give us more insight, like where they are as far as how soon the government will reopen once they pass in the House, because things don't happen right away. So how much longer people are going to suffer through food insecurities? How soon will the 42 million people that rely on the government for food assistance, how soon will they get their full benefits? And what about the federal workers that haven't been paid in almost 8 weeks? Congress has been out, the Republicans, for 8 weeks. I didn't realize it was that long. So essential workers had to go to work for almost 2 months without a pay. So they're probably tapped out. So the great thing about it, that Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, called them back to Congress, back to Washington. So now they can settle whatever they need to settle. They can do whatever they need to do. So we're looking forward to both parties coming together, reopening the government, and release the funds, release the SNAP benefits, release the payroll so that they can pay these federal workers, bring the layoff 4,000 workers that were laid off during the shutdown, the federal workers, bring them back to work, and give these federal workers their back pay. Your TSAs, your military, whoever has suffered through this, we're looking for them to receive their back pay, because guess what? Your bills don't stop. Whether the government is closed or not, that rent is still due on the 1st. You still have to pay your water, your electric, your gas, your car note. You still have to take care of your kids. So the responsibilities don't go away. So hopefully everyone can get back on their feet. But we're going to be revisiting the same situation January the 30th. Because what they're going to do tonight, if the vote passed, is just a Band-Aid. They're only putting a Band-Aid on it. And that's not enough. So we're just hoping that that they come through for us. And we're about America first. We're about taking care of our citizens. I want my taxpayer dollars to support American citizens. If we could support the world and we could give $40 billion to Argentina, then we can support our American citizens as well. We need to support them. And anybody have a problem with supporting our own, then they're un-American. You know, we take care of the world. We're $37 trillion in debt, but we don't have free healthcare in the United States. We don't have free college like they do in Canada or Israel or in England, different countries, Russia. You know, they take care of their citizens, but we have the highest healthcare costs. So I just hope that it works out well for us. I hope it works out for us. And I really care about our people. So we're just waiting for Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt to come on. So you guys, y'all can put in the chat where you're watching from. Are you from the United States or you're watching from another part of the world? Because one thing we have to realize, when we do news, the world is watching. And I guess you're saying, well, they're the richest country in the world. Why are they suffering from food insecurities? Why aren't they helping their citizens? You know, how did they open up their borders and they helped all these 14 plus million non-citizens come in and provide shelter, housing, food, SNAP benefits, welfare, Medicare, Medicaid. They provided all these essentials, but when it comes to American citizens, it's a problem. So I guess those are questions that need to be answered by our administration, how they're handling our money. Like if we have a flood, or a storm or hurricanes, the money should be there to assist our American citizens. They shouldn't have a problem receiving aid because we paid into it, but we freely sent it to everyone else. So those are the things that we need to work out with our legislators, our senators, our congressmen, the people that we're electing into office, that they should be looking out for our best interests. You got to probably change that, Elijah.
What?
The title or something, or change that. Yeah, so anyway, hopefully she will be on soon. I hope all is well, but it's a lot going on. I just hope that when we, the new year, this year is winding down, and I hope that 2026 will be a better year for the United States of America, for its citizens. I just hope that we're not going to continue this cycle, that they will not shut down the government again January the 30th. And they said the only reason why they're opening it back up is because of the fact that TSA, the airlines, because this is the time that people need to travel. And so anyway, she's coming on now, so we're going to join her. Here she is.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here today. We are going to get to my remarks.
Getting that from YouTube.
But I do have the FBI director with me here, Kash Patel. You all know him well. And he's here to provide an update for you all with respect to China. As you know, President Trump had a very successful meeting on his trip to Asia with President Xi, where they discussed the need for China to crack down on fentanyl production and distribution, which ultimately makes its way here to the United States of America. And the FBI director recently traveled to China following President Trump's meeting to meet with his counterpart in Beijing. And he has a really positive announcement for the American people to share. So the president wanted me to bring the FBI director out to share that with all of you today. So Kash, please, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Caroline. As Caroline mentioned, we have some tremendous news thanks to President Donald J. Trump once again for the American people. As soon as the President of the United States took office, he issued a mandate to rid America of the scourge that is fentanyl, a drug that has killed hundreds of thousands of Americans. Thanks to his leadership and direct engagement with China, we set up a framework to execute that mission 8 months ago. Attorney General Bondi immediately thereafter took steps to engage her counterpart in China at the Ministry of Public Security. Pursuant to their direct discussions, as the FBI director designated to run counterpoint on this, along with the Secretary of State Rubio and Ambassador Perdue and the team here at the White House, we set forward a path to implement the policy needed to crush the plague of fentanyl. Deputy Attorney General Blanche and our teams have been hard at work ever since, ultimately culminating in my trip to Beijing last week. This was only possible due to President Trump's historic engagement with President Xi just a few short weeks ago that set the stage for today's announcement. At that meeting, the leaders reached an agreement. But just to put this in frame for the American people, a reminder here that nearly 100,000 people died of fentanyl overdoses just last year alone. Here, this year, under this president, the FBI has seized 1,900 kilograms of fentanyl so far. That is a 31% increase from the same time period last year. To put it in perspective, that's enough fentanyl to kill 127 million Americans. Fentanyl precursors are what makes up fentanyl. While we, the interagency, the Department of Justice, have been fighting hard to seize and stop drug traffickers, we must attack fentanyl precursors, the ingredients necessary to make this lethal drug. That was the sole purpose of my trip to China, to eliminate these precursors. And if successful, we would suffocate the drug trafficking organization's ability to manufacture fentanyl in places like Mexico. This was the first time an FBI director has been to China in over a decade and received the audience with his counterpart to address this matter directly. And again, thanks to President Trump's direct engagement with President Xi, the government of China committed fully to my engagement there on the ground in Beijing at a level never seen before. While at Ministry of Public Security headquarters, I met with my counterpart at MPS, where the Chinese government agreed on a plan to stop fentanyl precursors. What does that mean? The People's Republic of China has fully designated and listed all 13 precursors utilized to make fentanyl. Furthermore, they have agreed to control 7 chemical subsidiaries that are also utilized to produce this lethal drug. Effective immediately, essentially, President Trump has shut off the pipeline that creates fentanyl that kills tens of thousands of Americans. These substances are now banned, and they will no longer be utilized by the Mexican drug trafficking organizations or any other DTOs around the world to make this drug. This historic achievement has saved tens of thousands of lives. This historic achievement would not have been possible without the tremendous team of President Trump, the Attorney General, the Department of Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and Ambassador Perdue in China, whose ground-level engagements were imperative to achieving this result. This is yet another example of how President Trump defends the American people, provides security for the American people, and puts the American people first. This is a historic first-of-its-kind achievement by any president to stop the scourge of fentanyl, and it should be championed by every single American. This achievement will save lives. We are thankful for President Trump's steadfast leadership, and this FBI will fearlessly follow in his footsteps to ensure that this mission of safeguarding the American public is achieved every single day. Thank you. Thanks, Caroline.
Thank you so
Wow.
much. Appreciate it. Okay. Thank you again,
No
Director
questions.
Patel. Before we get going, I do have one quick scheduling announcement. Tomorrow, President Trump will be joined by the First Lady in the East Room for an executive order signing aimed at expanding opportunities for education, career development, housing, and other resources for young people transitioning from foster care to adulthood. This is part of the First Lady's Fostering the Future efforts, which are a Be Best initiative. In other news, the Democrats dragged on the government shutdown for 43 days, the longest shutdown in U.S. history. But tonight, thanks to Republicans, the White House is very hopeful that this shutdown is going to come to an end. The damage caused by the Democrats with this reckless government shutdown cannot be forgotten. It is entirely the fault of the Democrat Party. Just look at the vote count. Hundreds of thousands of federal employees have missed their paychecks. Tens of billions in wages and benefits were withheld, impacting vulnerable families. Millions of low-income Americans missed their SNAP benefits. Nearly 20,000 flights at airports across the country were delayed due to staffing shortages, causing Americans to miss family events, vacations, and work obligations. According to Airlines for America, an estimated 5.2 million travelers have had their flights disrupted over the course of the Democrat shutdown. And our economy has lost billions and billions of dollars in economic activity over the course of this shutdown, hurting consumer sentiment and crushing the travel and hospitality industries. According to a CBO estimate, the Democrat shutdown could end up decreasing fourth quarter economic growth by 2 whole percentage points. The Democrat shutdown made it extraordinarily difficult for economists, investors, and policymakers at the Federal Reserve to receive critical government data. The Democrats may have permanently damaged the federal statistical system with October CPI and jobs reports likely never being released. And all of that economic data released will be permanently impaired, leaving our policymakers at the Fed flying blind at a critical period. It's hard to recap all of this without asking a simple question: why? Why have the Democrats put the American people through this pain for 43 days in a row? And it feels like Groundhog Day being up here again talking about this Democrat shutdown. And the answer to that question is pure partisan politics. They started this shutdown with a ridiculous demand to force taxpayer-funded healthcare benefits to illegal aliens who broke into our country. Even after it was clear President Trump and Republicans would never force American taxpayers to pay for free health care for illegals. In fact, President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill fixed that problem. The Democrats kept dragging this reckless government shutdown on for weeks longer to boost their turnout in an election, perhaps one may guess. That's because the Democrats are totally captured by their far left-wing base, who only care about attacking President Trump, even if it means hurting innocent Americans in our country. The Democrats' weakness and their unwillingness to buck the fringe members of their party dragged this harmful shutdown on for 7 weeks and inflicted massive pain onto the American public. But let's be clear, the clean CR being voted on today in the House of Representatives that will lead to the reopening of the federal government is what President Trump and Republicans have supported from day one. Our troops, air traffic controllers, and federal employees will be back to receiving their regular paychecks. Families in need will get back to receiving their food purchasing assistance, and the people's government will soon be back open for business. President Trump looks forward to finally ending this devastating Democrat shutdown with his signature, and we hope that signing will take place later tonight. On another matter, I want to address the affordability issue that's received a great deal of media attention this past week, which is ironic because it didn't receive that much attention when Joe Biden was here and inflation was at a record high 9%, the worst inflation crisis in modern American history. And President Trump won a landslide election in part to address the affordability issues created by Joe Biden and the Democrats. And that's exactly what President Trump has done since day one of his administration. Since the first day in office and every day since, the Trump administration has taken aggressive action to fix the Biden-created cost of living issues. The notion that the same Democrats who just shut down the federal government to sabotage our economy, rob people of their paychecks, and also helped Joe Biden ratchet up inflation to 9%, are now suddenly affordability champions, that notion is completely absurd. And it's something only the liberal media would have the gall to push. But the reality is that President Trump and his administration have done so much to lower prices and increase the economic prosperity of the American people. And this president and his team of amazing economic advisors are going to keep working on this issue every single day. In less than 10 short months, President Trump signed the largest middle-class tax cuts in American history, including no tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security, which will guarantee that next year Americans are going to put more money back into their pockets. The president has completely unleashed American energy dominance to help bring gasoline prices to the lowest in 5 years, and we expect them to continue to decrease. And it has also lowered energy costs overall. There is more work to do, but again, the president's deregulatory and pro-American energy agenda is absolutely going to continue to drive down prices. This formula worked in the president's first term, and we expect that it's going to work again. And this is key because we know energy costs are the #1 driver of inflation. Again, just look at what Joe Biden did to our energy industry over the past 4 years of his administration, and look at what happened to inflation as a result. Everything became more expensive. To lower prescription drug prices and healthcare costs, the president has been working around the clock on this issue. He is obsessed with negotiating these good deals on behalf of the American people to bring down pharmaceutical costs and drug costs for Americans, and he has done so on a number of fronts. You've seen him discuss that in the Oval Office several times. To fuel small businesses, lower their costs, and incentivize hiring, the Trump administration has already cut 30 unnecessary regulations for every new one on the books, which we know will save employers and small businesses across the country thousands of dollars in regulatory burdens. All of these pro-Trump policies are working, and they will continue to work. Wages are rising at the fastest pace of the start of a presidential administration in 60 years. The cost of the typical new mortgage is down by nearly $3,000 per year. There's much work to do, and this administration will continue to do it. But President Trump has already made great progress in cleaning up the economic disaster that was created by Joe Biden. With that, I will take your questions today, and in our new media seat, we have Bev Turner, who works for a new outlet, a UK outlet, but based here in Washington, D.C., GB News. Bev, thank you for being here today. Why don't you kick us off?
Thank you, Caroline. So the clock is ticking on the Friday deadline by which the BBC must retract and apologise for their malicious edits of the President in the documentary shown last year. The recently resigned Director General of the BBC yesterday described the organisation as the very best of society and blamed the enemies of the BBC for this outcome. Also yesterday, a senior government minister launched a fierce defence of the channel in the House of Commons, saying that the broadcaster remains a light on the hill for people all over the world. So, does the President feel that the network is taking the situation seriously? Does he believe that they've shown sufficient regret? Does this strain the relationship between the President and the Prime Minister? And given that the organisation is publicly funded, is the President prepared to bankrupt the BBC in his pursuit of truth and justice?
Well, thank you, Bev. There's a lot of questions in one there. I will say, I know the President has a very good relationship with Prime Minister Starmer. You have been there, you've seen them in their interactions, you've questioned both leaders in your time joining us when we've gone to the United Kingdom a few different times now. However, he has always been very frank when he disagrees with leaders, even whom he has a good relationship with. And the BBC, being a fair news organization, is definitely an outlet. I think these two leaders would disagree. The President has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers, and he thinks that's extremely unfortunate for the great people of the United Kingdom and Great Britain. And I think that the President was deeply concerned by the editing, the purposeful and dishonest editing of his speech that was so clearly fake news, and he rightfully dubbed that term many years ago, and this is a classic example of that. We see it in the United States all the time. We see it now in the United Kingdom. As you know, the President's external legal counsel has filed a lawsuit against the BBC. We expect that to continue, and whether they apologize or not is up to them. Thanks for being here, Bev. Ouija.
Caroline.
Sure.
I had your statement about the new Epstein emails that have been released by House Democrats. Separate from why you believe the emails were made public, can you address their substance? Did the president ever spend hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with a victim?
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep. And this email you refer to with the name of a victim that was unredacted now and has since been reported on in this room, so I will go ahead and say it, Virginia Guffrey. And it was CBS's own reporting, Ouija, that recently wrote that Miss Guffrey maintained, and God rest her soul, that she maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her. And so I think it's a question worth asking the Democrat Party, and you should all go ask them after this briefing, of why they chose to redact that name of a victim who has already publicly made statements about her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and is unfortunately no longer with us. Mary.
Thank you. Two questions on this. In the interest of transparency, why not just go ahead and release the full files on Epstein, get this all over with?
This administration has done more with respect to transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein than any administration ever. In fact, this administration, the Department of Justice, has turned over tens of thousands of documents to the American people. We are cooperating and showing support for the House Oversight Committee. That's part of the reason you are seeing these documents that were released today, because of the House Oversight Committee's and Republicans' efforts to get these out to the public. This administration also moved, the Department of Justice also moved to unseal grand jury testimony, which we know, unfortunately, a judge declined those requests. So this administration has done more than any, and it just shows how this is truly a manufactured hoax by the Democrat Party. For now, they're talking about it all of a sudden because President Trump is in the Oval Office. But when Joe Biden was sitting in there, the Democrats never brought this up. This wasn't an issue that they cared about because they actually don't care about the victims in these cases. They care about trying to score political points against President Trump, as we have, of course, seen with this government shutdown. And this entire thing, again, it's not a coincidence to the American people at home. There are no coincidences in Washington, D.C., and it is not a coincidence that the Democrats leaked these emails to the fake news this morning ahead of Republicans reopening the government. This is another distraction campaign by the Democrat and the liberal media, and it's why I'm being asked questions about Epstein instead of the government reopening because of Republicans and President Trump.
But given your interest in transparency, Karoline, why are White House officials then meeting with Representative Goldberg in an effort to try and get her to not sign this petition calling for the release of the files?
Doesn't it show transparency that members of the Trump administration are willing to brief members of Congress whenever they please? Doesn't that show our level of transparency? Doesn't that show the level of transparency when we are willing to sit down with members of Congress and address their concerns? That's a defining factor of transparency. Having discussions with members of Congress about various issues, and I'm not going to detail conversations that took place in the Situation Room in the press briefing room. Reagan.
I have a question about the government shutdown.
Thank you. I'm glad someone does.
First, on the government shutdown, the shutdown deal reverses the administration's scripts, and it also prohibits more from happening until the end of January. I'm wondering if the president had input on this element of the deal, and if he's at all disappointed that's going to reverse the downsizing of the federal government shutdown during the shutdown.
I mean, look, I think it's about 6,000 workers total. When you look at that in comparison to the reduction in the federal workforce that this administration has done since January to get rid of the waste, the fraud, the abuse, and to reduce the size of our federal bureaucracy, we've done a lot of great work on that front, and we will continue to. But obviously, the president's main priority was to reopen the federal government and get people back to work, and that's what this deal accomplishes.
There's been reports in Israeli media that the U.S. is considering building a temporary military base on the Gaza border. Can you confirm these reports?
So I had a conversation directly with the reporter who wrote this article, and this article was based on a single piece of paper, an inquiry that somebody in the Department of Navy made about an idea that may happen in the future. And this reporter deemed that as an official plan and ran with a story that the United States is looking into it. I checked with the highest levels of the United States federal government. This is not something the United States is interested in being engaged in. It's not something we are currently involved in right now that we will be funding. And the president has been very clear he doesn't want to see boots on the ground with respect to what's happening in the Middle East. We've made great progress with the peace plan in Gaza, and we want to continue to see that move forward. But I put a comment in that story for a reason. And sometimes we see reporters take a piece of paper like this and just deem it as official policy, and sometimes that misleads people a little bit. Sure.
There's been a question about UK intelligence sharing regarding the drug interdictions involving contacts in the Middle East. How will that affect the U.S. military operation? There's been a lot of discussion about the high caliber of the intelligence that's been provided before any of these military actions have taken place.
I've seen that report. Oh, hello. I've seen that report. I'm familiar with the reporting, but we don't comment on intelligence matters, classified intelligence matters, as you know. As for the Trump administration's position on our narco-terrorist campaign in the Caribbean, it is going to continue, and the president has made it very clear he's not going to allow terrorists to bring illegal drugs that kill American citizens into our great country. Sure, John. I'll go to John and then Zolan. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Trump has talked about sending out $2,000 checks to U.S. citizens. Earlier this year, he also talked about sending a Doge dividend. That didn't materialize. Should U.S. Citizens expect a $2,000 proposal? Is the White House committed to making that happen?
The White House is committed to making that happen, yes. And we are currently exploring all legal options to get that done. I don't have a timeline for you or any further details, but I can confirm for you that the president made it clear he wants to make it happen. And so his team of economic advisors are looking into it. And when we have an update, we'll provide one. Zolan.
You said at the top that one of the costs of the government shutdown was that people missed their SNAP benefits. Can you explain then why the administration went to court to fight the funding of food stamps and SNAP benefits?
So recipients missed their SNAP benefits because the Democrats shut the government down, and they forced the administration to tap into a contingency fund that did not even fund the full entirety of this program. And so then you had an unhinged judge who was trying to dictate from the bench what the executive branch has to pay for and where that money has to come from. That is judicial overreach at its finest. And so that's why the administration pushed back on that. We can't have the judicial branch telling the executive branch that we need to rob the Children Nutrition Fund, which is what this judge was trying to do, to pay for SNAP benefits. That's completely inappropriate and it's unconstitutional, and we've been proven right with that legal argument. But now the good news is, again, thanks to Republicans and in several hours, President Trump, the government is going to be reopened, and SNAP recipients are going to receive their full benefits, which is what President Trump has always wanted to do. Stephen.
Why also did you need the judicial process for that? I mean, during the shutdown, didn't the administration have a responsibility to tap into any of those reserves to ensure that essentially
We did. We did tap into it. We did tap into the contingency fund. And then the judge told us, no, you have to get more money from a Children's Nutrition Fund. And we felt that was judicial overreach. You shouldn't tell the president which fund he has to rob because the Democrats are holding the country hostage by shutting down the federal government. Stephen, go ahead.
Well, if the president is considering a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell?
Again, he's answered this repeatedly. It's not something he's talking about or even thinking about at this moment in time. I can assure you of that. Stephen.
Karoline, I've got two questions about New York for you.
Sure.
First,
You always do.
Mayor-elect
ran for the New York Post.
Mayor-elect Mamdani, he said that he plans to reach out to President Trump and that, quote, this is a relationship that will be critical. Does the White House have a response to this planned outreach?
It's the first time I'm hearing of it. I'll let the president respond himself to that comment by Mr. Mamdani.
My second question, Jack Schlossberg, the grandson of President Kennedy, announced today that he's running for Congress. He in the recent past has referred to his uncle, the HHS secretary, as, quote, a rabid dog, and he has said that the Trump administration is, quote, the most corrupt in American history. Does the White House have a comment on this sort of comment from a rising star of the Democratic Party?
I don't even think such ridiculous comments are worth responding to. Obviously, those things are not true. And Secretary Kennedy is doing a phenomenal job bringing transparency and the gold standard of science back to our healthcare system. Eamon.
Thank you, Caroline. The president's hosting a number of Wall Street CEOs for dinner tonight here at the White House. Can you give us the names of the CEOs who are going to be here and give us a sense of what the president's message to Wall Street is going to be tonight?
I don't have a full list for you in front of me, Eamon. I know you've reported on some names, and we've helped you navigate whether those names were truthful or false. But I know the president actually plans to bring some of you into the dinner tonight, so you'll see for yourself in several hours if that's okay with you.
And there's been some reporting that the White House is frustrated with Bill Pulte and the rollout of this proposal for a 50-year mortgage. Can you tell us if the White House is frustrated with that rollout and if the White House still supports the idea of a 50-year mortgage for Americans?
This is a proposal that the president himself has commented on. I would defer you to the president's statements, and it's something that the administration is discussing and seriously looking into. Sure. Danny, and then go ahead.
Thank you. Some Democratic members of Congress have invited Britain's former Prince Andrew to testify on the Epstein scandal. I was just wondering if President Trump thinks that former Prince Andrew should indeed come and testify to Congress on that.
I haven't spoken to him about that specific matter, but I can ask him and get back to you.
On the government shutdown, the president and House Republicans have made clear they were not going to negotiate healthcare strategy or policy while the government was shut down. Now, assuming that it reopens tonight, is the president intending to invite any Democrats over to have negotiations over these subsidies or any other plan to bring down the cost of health insurance?
I will just add that, as you pointed out, the Democrats were holding our country hostage to try to negotiate on a healthcare system that they created. Obamacare, as it's famously called, is a system the Democrats created. It is a broken system. It has driven up healthcare costs dramatically in this country. And now they shut the government down to try to fix that system they broke. It doesn't make any sense to us, which is why the president said that's a completely untenable position. However, once the government reopens, the president, as he's always maintained, is absolutely open to having conversations about healthcare. And I think you'll see the president putting forth some really good policy proposals the Democrats should take very seriously to fix, again, the system that they broke. You can't trust the same people who broke the system to fix it, and so the American people will continue to hear from the president on this issue.
Follow up on the question about the $2,000 payments of tariff revenue. The president had also talked about using tariffs to bring down the national debt. Would this be in lieu of that? Like this is now the new way maybe to use that tariff revenue?
No, the president put out a statement on this clarifying he wants to do both things with the tariff revenue that he's bringing into this country. Trillions of dollars are expected to continue to pour in, and it's part of the reason that the Supreme Court case is so vital for our country's future, to restore our manufacturing industry in this country, to protect our national security, to continue to allow the president to use tariffs as leverage to negotiate economic deals that are good for our national security, and that revenue can then be used for various reasons, to pay down our debt and also perhaps to give these rebate checks back to Americans, which again the White House is exploring the legal options of how we can get that done. Catherine, go ahead.
Viktor Orban said this week that President Trump was promised Hungary some kind of financial shield. Do you have any details on how that would be structured or what that would look like?
I don't, but I'm happy to check with the National Security Council and get back to you.
One more. You recently sent you a check with President Trump about why he needs to get an MRI on his recent trip to Walter Reed. Do you have any more detail on that?
I do, and I'm glad you asked. As stated in the memo provided on October 10th, President Trump received advanced imaging at Walter Reed Medical Center as part of his routine physical examination. The full results were reviewed by attending radiologists and consultants, and all agreed that President Trump remains in exceptional physical health, which I know all of you will see with your own eyes later this evening when he opens up his dinner to the press, and perhaps you will see him when he signs the bill to reopen the federal government. So stay tuned on plans for that. Thank you, everyone.
Well, that was a mouthful. I don't know. I hope that everything goes as planned, that they will reopen the government. But listening to Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer, is like they are upset that you had 8 Democrats that caved, that the government was closed for 2 months, and they didn't accomplish anything. That health care is still on the table, and people premiums are still going to rise. So they expect it to be voted about healthcare in, like they said, 2 more weeks, like into December. And they expect that to fail. Then they're going to go back in January the 30th. But I don't know. I'm not comfortable and I'm not confident that they're going to reopen the government because there's a lot of stuff that's going on behind the scenes that's not being exposed to the public, because I'm hearing a lot of chatter from both parties. Like, as Americans, we don't care who's to blame. So keep calling it the Democrats shut down or the Republicans shut down. It doesn't matter to everyday citizens. Because even the people who are totally for a party, when it comes to feeding your children, who cares about a party? When it comes to losing your job, who cares about a party? When it comes to your health care and you got a sick child or sick mother or you're sick and you can't get medications and you can't go to the doctor, you don't care about which party is responsible. You want it fixed. You want results. So all that finger pointing doesn't make a difference. But my concern, will Trump be able to sign? Do you believe that it's going to be put before Trump's desk to be signed? Yes or no in the chat. Do you think those same Democrats that have decided to cast their votes and they can't, and support the Republican Party, are they going to stand 10 toes down on completing the task? Because if they don't have enough votes, they say they only could lose by 2 votes, and then the government is still going to be shut down. So that's my biggest concern, is what's going to happen tonight. And if the government doesn't open up, what does that mean for you? What does it mean for Thanksgiving? Because even if you're not suffering from food insecurities, if you have health care, you're going to be affected by it. Whether you're getting Affordable Care Act or not, whether you're getting they call it Obamacare as well. It's the same thing. That if it affects you in a negative way, that your premiums go up so high that you can't afford insurance, then you're in the same boat as people, the 22 million they say they will lose their health care. So this is crazy. So I'm not confident tonight. It just doesn't seem together. But one thing they're going to do, people keep talking about the Epstein files, but they said that what they're going to do, they're going to swear in the Senate, the newly elected congressperson. They're going to swear her in prior to the vote. And once she's sworn in, there'll be enough votes that will be cast for them to, I guess, investigate more or release the Epstein files, because this is going to have to be resolved, because American people are not going to let it go. So this administration are going to have to release everything, and because the people are demanding it, and Republicans are demanding it. Everyone's demanding it. So you got Marjorie Taylor running around demanding it. So she's going on The View. She's going on all the different networks, and she's saying it needs to be released. She's been standing with the victims. So then you got Fetterman. He's running around with the Republican Party. So you got they don't switch parties. They traded places. Fetterman is Republican now, and Marjorie Taylor is Democrat. So it's like this now.
Debonair said it's already too late for medical/insurance choices. Open enrollment is ending in most states.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible. I heard that some people got their new rates, and like I said, the lady said that hers was $272, and now it's skyrocketed to I think $1,200 a month more. So it's incredible the numbers that those premiums are going to skyrocket to. It's going to price people out of receiving health care. And like the trade-off, you open the government back up, but the federal workers that haven't been receiving a paycheck, they're tapped out. They can't last any longer. It's been 2 months, and the Republicans have finally been ordered to return to Washington. So they haven't been there for 8 weeks. Nothing was being negotiated this entire time. And to me, that was disservice to the people. Regardless who's right or wrong, you should be at work. And you're still is being paid, while you have people that are essential workers that weren't receiving a paycheck, that still are required to show up for work every day. So I don't think that they should, I'm not going to go along with things that I feel that aren't right. They should have been working this out on behalf of the American people. That's what they were allegiance to. You're not allegiance to the party. Your allegiance should be towards the American people. That's a distinct difference. It's like everybody is so much allegiance to these parties that even when the party isn't doing right, that you don't call them out. That doesn't mean you still don't support, say, the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, but you got to call out when they're not doing right. And you have people that they don't want to admit the truth. It's like the truth really does hurt, I guess.
Yeah. Like, for example, like someone said, or people saying when Biden was in office, people just blame Trump for everything. Well, Trump is the president now.
Yeah.
So it's his responsibility now.
Yeah, it's his responsibility. Like the beginning of the year, we was all down because the last administration sucked. They didn't do anything for American people. They did more for non-citizens than Americans. They were more non-citizen focused, and they still are, than American citizens. But in this case, I'll give it to the Democrats. If you're fighting for health care and food insecurities for American people, then I'm with you on that because that's right. Like this government was saying that it would be better. We already went through a hardship, a horrific administration that didn't do anything for the American people, but put us more in debt. And they hid the health issues and the mental capacity of the former president. That was hidden from the American people. He was incapable of running the country. So then we asked the question, who was running the country? It wasn't Kamala, because after you heard her talk, you saw she was incapable of running the country. So then they said this auto pen was used that Trump has in a frame for Biden's picture. The President Walk of Fame or Hall of Fame. He has the auto pen in place of Biden's picture. So it's a lot that's going on, but we got to look at these politicians. Hopefully they're not putting themselves first. I feel like that they're more loyal to the party and to their their lobbyists and all these other people, that they are more beholden to them than doing right by us. Like when they run for these campaigns, I'm gonna take care of y'all, we're gonna bring down the cost of living, we're gonna decrease food costs, your health care is not going to be touched, and they give us all these speeches until they get into office.
Empty promises.
The empty promises, and then thank you, love you, and then they become forgetful of all the promises. And then we're still being loyal to the party instead of being loyal to your family. Your family should come first. You should want what's best for your family. I don't care which party it is, as long as my family can prosper from who's ever running the country. It's like people, they're hurting us. Everyone's been in government, they're doing a disservice to us. Like they say the Democratic shutdown, the Democrats had a legitimate reason to not go along with opening the government, because all of the people, the trade-off is people to lose their health care, for people that have premiums that's going to skyrocket. So that was for us. This time it was for us. Now they caved in after they won 3 elections, big elections. They caved. So all this was for nothing. So Trump won. He won this. Because they waited all this time. They had every opportunity. Okay, if you're going to fight for something, then you have to stand on business. But now that you say you're going to reopen the government, people are exhausted by them not meeting, by them not resolving these issues. If I was an elected official, it would be my obligation to resolve.
Yeah, and Jay said neither one will do for the American people, but you got to take the lesser evil.
That's what's been going on.
Yeah.
And that's how we've been voting. And that's why people say, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe, y'all. We got to get these likes up. This is not our time to come on because we don't get as many views. And I don't know why people don't want to really hear it from the press secretary. I think it's important. That's why we take the time to showcase her, because she has the ear of the president. So that's where you can see what's going on with the shutdown, what's going on, internationally, what's going on with the Epstein files. All these questions are being given to her. And that's letting us know as well, not just the media, letting us know what's going on in our government. So it's important. But people really don't have an interest in hearing her. They used to like her. I don't know what's going on, but it's important. You got to be informed. So we can hold their feet to the fire. They don't come through. This is what you said. So you should listen so that you can have these conversations at work or with your loved ones, with your friends, with your bosses, that you can have these conversations. It's hard to have conversations if you don't know what's going on. So anyway, she said that Trump is going to have another dinner tonight, and hopefully he will be signing the bill to reopen the government, because I think at this point people are suffering at another level, and this is the richest country in the world. There is no way, as much as we give to people that's suffering from food insecurities around the world, when it comes to us, that our American citizens are being put through this nonsense. And where all these other countries that we give billions to Israel, they say they don't even need it. They got free health care and college education. Canada, we give billions to them. Free health care, free education. All these countries, and here we are, the United States of America, and we're $37 trillion in debt helping everyone else. But when we need it, it's not for us. It's none for you. And then the worst part about it, you have Americans talking about, oh, they need to work, or they need to do this, but you don't say that to all those non-citizens that came into this country. Not one protest, not one, about when 14 plus million people come into this country. They didn't come in here with homes. They didn't come in here with shelter. They didn't come in here with their own food and with money. They didn't come in here with any of the necessities to survive. We provided for them over our American citizens, because our American citizens weren't given the same provisions they were. Our American citizens were left on the streets. Our vets still remain homeless. Our disabled didn't get benefits. So now when they need help, then people got a problem. They say, oh, they're working. Just for all those selfish people out there. Y'all don't say nothing. I don't see anybody protesting about giving Argentina doing a shutdown $40 billion to help their people. I don't see where the protests at. Where the protests doing this shutdown? I haven't seen any.
Someone said that we have the money to give.
Yeah, give to us. Give to us. So why are they not getting the money that they need? And they're only getting $148. The majority of the people is estimated to get being given no more than $148 a month. We don't have the money to give. We're broke. The Bank of America is closed. But we still have $40 billion to give to Argentina. But while our citizens can't pay their rent, they can't feed their kids, their health care is more than they got to pay more than anywhere else in the world, had the highest prescription costs anywhere else in the world. Are you kidding me? And you always have people from other countries say, oh, well, that's our money. That's our money. I want my money being spent on American citizens, especially when they need it. The minimum wage that they're being paid they can't afford food. Try living off of making $7.25 a day, even if you work 10 hours. After they tax it, what, you taking home $50 for the day? It costs you gas money and car fare and lunch. It costs you more money just to get to work. You have the working poor. Then you have the disabled. And then you have the vets. And then you have the seniors. That's who the money is helping. But we can freely give it to everyone else. Our money. So I don't want to hear all the other nonsense when it comes to America has supported the freaking world. And now they got to beg to reopen the government, got to beg for food, got to beg to have health care, got to beg for lower prices for prescriptions, all this crap. Like Americans don't deserve it.
John said Americans need to learn to take care of themselves.
Exactly. You have more Americans upset with other Americans get like something's being given to them. If you have a job, try having just $148 a month for food and see how you can stretch that. It's impossible. Impossible. You could pay that for going out to dinner for 2 people easily. Easily. 1 meal. We got to do better. We got to learn that we have to be one nation under God. And we got to learn that we in this fight together. And we got to learn it's not about parties, it's about results. I don't care who's in office, as long as they're doing right by the citizens of this country. I don't want to hear who's to blame. Oh, it's the Democrats. It ain't they shut down. It's just as much the Republicans shut down as the Democrats shut down. They're in Congress. They're all elected to work together. You can't work together. Your ass not showing up for work for 8 weeks. And meanwhile, people are suffering food insecurities, and children are going hungry in the United States of America. And because it's not happening in your house, oh, thank God. But it's happening in 42 million people households. 42 million people. You got people that have living wage jobs standing in food lines, trying to get food. They have jobs, they can't go to work. They've been laid off doing this. And people that haven't been paid. They say, okay, I got enough to last me a couple weeks if I don't get paid. But when it's 8 weeks, that's a problem, Houston. So that's why they got to bring this to an end. And Thanksgiving is coming up. People want to travel. All the airlines are canceling flights, thousands and thousands of flights.
Someone said I'd vote for this lady over Kamala.
You know what? They make me like want to run for office. My position is director of publication legislation. I'm an activist advocate. I help try to get these people into office. I need to be running myself because you got to have people that's actually for the people.
Someone said I vote Mickey Mouse over Kamala.
You know, we got to do better. We can't keep having people giving us empty promises and delivering nothing. Yeah. Nothing. But then they're going to come around 2026, vote for me. You better look at their damn records. Vote for me. This is what I'm going to do. And they don't do jack. Vote for me.
Yeah, Patricia said, I understand you, girl. I have a Ukrainian next door, land purchase, new house, cars, furniture, and chickens in their yard. Can't even speak English. Dang.
What they're doing, they're ingraining themselves into our neighborhoods. So that with ICE, anybody come, they're trying to blend in. But you can tell the ones that's not born from America, you know it. With their accents, who they are, you know they're not from here. And a lot of them have received brand new houses. And like what she said, that's happening all over the United States. And you got people there's American citizens, they can't even get a loan for a house. And you know the interest rate is so high, young people can't even afford to buy a house. They living at home. That's ridiculous. But that's what's going on. They allowed them to get businesses. They're not just doing construction work. They're giving them construction companies. They're not just doing housekeeping. They're running hotels. They're not just, they act like they are really being implemented. They are taking they're getting the opportunities that they said Americans are supposed to be getting. But it doesn't work for us that way. But we don't want to hear, I'm not beholden to man. I'll say that every time. And regardless how I voted, I'm always going to speak the truth because I have to answer to God. And that's where my allegiance is with God. It's about what's right, doing right by the people. And that's not popular. It's never popular when you're speaking the truth or telling the truth because people are so loyal to a party and they're not loyal to their families. Like, what's happening to your families? How is this affecting you? It's ridiculous. And when we demand more, we'll get more. How about that? Well, see, we got to demand more. As long as they have us fighting each other, have the poor, have the middle class, upper middle class, because the rich ain't worrying about a damn thing. As long as they have us fighting each other and say, well, I got more than you, I got more than you, so I'm all right. I'm not suffering from food insecurities. I'm not suffering from health care, so I got more than you, so that's your problem.
And if whatever happens, they have their bunkers.
Yeah, they got their bunkers. They'd be a World War III, not worried. They got their bunkers. We gonna be the ones out here being fried from a nuclear war. So, and they know something's gonna jump off. They just don't know when. Like Trump saying that President Xi has promised him that he would not invade Taiwan, because if he does invade Taiwan, we are their allies, and that would thrust us into a World War III. That would kick it off. And so that's just a matter of time. And right now, nobody talks about Russia and Ukraine lately. They're still fighting.
Yeah.
After all the monies have been given, after all the meetings, Putin is like, I don't have to give in. Why should I give in? He's at the point now, they allowed it to go on too long. They should have stopped it the last administration. Once you allow someone to go on this long, now they're emboldened. Why should he stop evading Ukraine? And Zelensky doesn't care at this point, because that's the only way he can remain president, because they can't have elections. So he liked being he's still at the little kids table, but he liked that he get to dabble with the big boys, the former actor, comedian. So it's terrible. The people that are running these countries and administrations, meanwhile they're becoming billionaires, millionaires and billionaires. Everybody's getting elected. That's what they become. Our Congress people, internationally, all those international leaders, they all become multimillionaires. So
and New York City's done now.
Yeah, well, New York is finished.
It's Gotham.
Everything it's Gotham. It's gonna be Gotham City. I thought it was already Gotham City without Batman, but this is gonna be another level of what Batman Gotham City was called. Yeah, you might as well forget it. Ain't no bat phone.
Yeah, it's open.
So he don't even like the cops. So anybody that's looking for any criminal hiding out that's not from this country, that's where they gonna be at. So he can't even deliver, and that's what people don't understand. The promises he made to the young people, that's who voted him in, he can't even keep it. Yeah. He doesn't have the power to do what he said.
And
sad.
Like someone said in the comments, all the millionaires are leaving NYC.
Yeah, they're gonna leave, and that's who funds the city. If they're not there, it's gonna collapse. So one of the greatest cities in the world is gonna be destroyed before our eyes. That's a fact. It's going to be destroyed before our eyes. It's going down. Because he can't give out free bus rides and take over, the government's going to take over grocery stores and all this kind of stuff. They can't even he can't even do the things that he said. And the rent, they're going to have free rent? Really? You think? No, it's not going to happen. Wow. And talking about, because he's going to tax the rich. And guess what the rich are going to do? The rich, they are not immobile. They can go anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
They out. They out.
Why do you think people voted for him?
Because of his promises. He received a lot of young people voting. They're uninformed. And people, when you say free this, that's what people want to hear. They want to hear, I don't have to free. Or it's not going to cost me anything and all that. So free won. So that's all he had to do is make promises that he can't keep. Because they said him as an assemblyman could do more than the mayor. He don't even have the capabilities as the mayor to do what he says he wants to do. And then not being a friend of the police, when you got all that corruption in New York, that's one city, you need a police department. You need a police department. So.
Yeah, like someone said, he never had the power to fulfill any false promises as the mayor.
And people have been trying to tell the people there. And guess what they did anyway? They voted for him. They still voted him in. That's how Looney Tune we are these days. The promises and everything he said, he's incapable of doing. He only been a natural, I think he received his citizenship 7 years ago. He's only been an American for 7 years. 7 years. You got someone that hasn't even been an American citizen for more than 7 years, and he now is in control of the largest city. I don't know if it's the largest city in the world, but it's the largest city in the United States of America.
Yeah.
How crazy is that? He's controlling that. New York City,
Well, I think
the melting pot of the world.
yeah, I think what hurt is that guy wouldn't drop out of the race.
Yeah, well, Stiva, the Republican, should have dropped out.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to win. He runs all the time. I don't even know why he was in there. And Como, I think they probably should have had back Mayor Adams, who already was in there because he ran as an independent. When Como already lost as a Democratic nominee, why would you then think these same people that voted the last time going to vote you into office? He wasn't going to win then. That was dumb. You lost to the man, but now what you think? Okay, now I changed my title as an independent, but you the same dude that we voted against. And so Mayor Adams stepped out of the race because that was going to take more of the vote. So he stepped out. He was the one that was running independently. They should have let him run independently. Trump endorsed Como at the last minute, but if Como couldn't beat him as a Democratic nominee, he was not going to win running as an independent. And it's been proven so. He lost again. So, but New York is in for a rude awakening. They have really, they said like in England where they have socialism or whatever running the government, that it's been like 111,000 people stabbed to death. All kinds of stuff has been going on. It's not a good thing.
Yeah, Jay said he's a good businessman. That's the only reason. There's no other reason.
I don't know what kind of good businessman he is because he only been a citizen for 7 years. He don't even, and then he was working for his mother, who's in the arts, working for her. I don't know, as an actor or something. So I know his family has money. They have money. He's not poor. He's supposed to have land, I think, in Africa and all this kind of stuff. So he's not equipped for New York. He's not even a New Yorker. He's not even a New Yorker. And I don't think anybody that's been here 7 years knows how to be an American or know the mindset of American people. You have to be here. Like, I couldn't go over to China and for 7 years, and now I'm the mayor of the largest city in China. And I just got there. It takes time to learn a culture and to learn people. But he knew that all he had to do was make false promises. And that's all. That's all he had to do. And he won. That's all he had to do.
Yeah.
Y'all, you guys, let's get those likes up. We appreciate it. Let's show support of this channel. We're going to come back on at 4. We're going to jump off of here now because I'm going to go work out at the gym and all that kind of stuff and have lunch. But thanks for joining us. But, leave us a comment because we can't look at all the comments on the chat because we be having thousands of comments. But leave us leave us a comment after the chat because we respond to all comments. This is so you can engage with us one-on-one. And we will read the comments. So we're trying to include you, and we are going to open this channel up as soon as my son gets it together because we want to bring people on and have like a show that we have people that can speak in a clear, concise manner with different opinions, because that's the only way you work things out.
Mr. Bisky and Jack Jack.
Yeah, we're going to have Jack and Mr. Dabosky. Yeah, we're going to bring them on. And, waiting for it. This is my tech guy. So I've been telling been wanting this for a minute. But we're going to try to, bring people on. And maybe we'll do that once a week, have people on, Speak the Truth 2.0, and we might call it the Speak Circle or something like that. But we're going to come up with a name for that segment of the show that we're going to interact with some of our subscribers. So you have to subscribe, and we do want to offer a contest. a monetary for our subscribers, because our goal is to reach 100,000 subscribers. And YouTube has changed everything. So now we have to work the channel a different way. So, as they change, we just got on. I just only been doing this like a year. So, but we're thankful for all our subscribers and everybody to take the time. People to agree and people who disagree, but that makes the show. That's why I don't try to ban people that have a difference of opinion, because that makes the show. That's how y'all interact in the chat. If everybody's going along with everyone, then there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Typical channel. Yeah, there's nothing to talk about, and you're not resolving issues if people don't have different opinions. That's why I welcome people like Jack or whatever, and Mr. Bosky,
Yes,
or Indoor. Hey, Indoor, I don't know if you're still on here. Hey, you still on here?
Yeah, it's good to hear different point of views.
We want to hear different point of views, and this is how we can learn how we can work together.
That might make you realize something too that you didn't think about.
Yeah, so that's the goal. We're not trying to be like everyone else, because we're not. We are non-scripted. People usually come on, the whole thing is scripted out. There's no script. We don't edit. We are raw. We're authentic, and this is what makes Speak the Truth authentic and honest. Is that this is not just propped up for you guys.
I'm getting tired of hearing about the fouls every stream. That has nothing to do with that.
I don't know. I really don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
the Epstein files. I think the Epstein files, people are going to continue to bring it up until it's all released. It's just not going to go away. So Trump and his administration, they're going to have to release the files. They delayed it because they refused to swear in the Arizona newly elected congresswoman that would be will be able to do the casting vote that will require them to release all the files. So I think now after they're going to swear her in tonight, and Speaker of the House Mike Johnson said that that's what he's going to do. He's going to swear her in before the vote tonight. So we're going to see how it's going to go. If Trump's going to sign, we are going to come back on tonight because we want to be there when things are happening, and come back at 3 the next show is going to be at 4 o'clock. Yeah, that's our really peak time. During this time is not when our subscribers and our people are on. But I think it's important to listen to the press secretary. I've never done it before. Now I realize how important it is to listen to your elected officials, so that when you go to vote the next time, because these people will be running again, then you know how to vote. You have a clear understanding on how government works, how it operates, who the players are, who's taking bribes under the table, who's keeping their promises, who's, doing what they claim they're going to do. So now I'm paying attention. Before, even as a legislative director, being an advocate, you see me on other videos on here. I'm with President Biden. I'm with him, welcoming him to the city, all that kind of stuff. I've been with President Obama. I have senators and all, they get the phone numbers. I've been Capitol Hill, walking the corridors, been with Bernie, or everyone you could think of. But what's important is the people of this country. And I just want someone to keep their words. That's it. Keep your word. Stop lying to us. Do what you said you're going to do.
Yeah, it's not a good sign, this recent election, that just nothing but Democrats won.
Yeah, all but Democrats won. That's why I was surprised that they caved. That was shocking, but we need to reopen the government. I don't believe the federal workers and the people suffering from food insecurities can last any longer, but the trade-off is losing health care. And I don't like that. You go from one problem to a worse problem. So we got to do better, America. But we'll be back on here. Thank you, the Mr. Bosky, and thank you, Indoor, if you on here. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
You so radical, Jack. I don't know about making you a moderator, but we're gonna have you on the show.
Okay, he told how it's pronounced. It's pronounced.
How you pronounce it?
Bosky, I think.
Oh, what say? Where is it at?
It's right there.
Huh?
Boski.
Bosky? I was saying at first, but then I said, I'm pronouncing what I was saying, Mr. Bosky. Okay, we got it. We want to make sure. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
We love you guys. Come back at 4. We'll see you then. God bless everyone.
God bless.
Put God first. Stay hydrated. God bless you. Peace out.